In the history of movies, there are a few filmmakers who have expanded our way of seeing and completely changed the way we experience the art form. One of them was named Federico Fellini. Fellini's work is like a treasure chest. Open it up, and there's a world of wonders, sparkling visions of beauty, terror, absurdity, where the ancient and the modern become one, where all the barriers between reality and fantasy just shattered before your eyes.
Federico Fellini, a name synonymous with insightful cinema, a director whose filmography speaks for itself. 41 films, garnering 12 Oscar nominations and 4 wins in the Best Picture category, among countless other accolades collected over the course of the director's nearly 50-year career. It's undeniable that Federico Fellini has left his mark in film history, and even more so, that his films remain relevant and groundbreaking today. He took a known entertainment medium and explored it into a modern artistic outlet. To describe Fellini's works as just movies is an injustice. Rather, he created moving works of art, which inspired many prominent directors today. Federico Fellini left his fingerprints on cinema and will forever be revered and remembered as one of the most impactful directors of all time. Fellini was born on January 20th, 1920, into a middle-class family in a small town on the Adriatic Sea. Fellini came from humble beginnings. His father, Urbano Fellini, was a baker's apprentice at the Pontanea pasta factory. His mother, despite her parents' vehement disapproval, eloped with Urbano in 1917 to the small town of Gambatola, in the province of Forli Cesana.
Their rebellious marriage was often a source of inspiration for Federico. He was once quoted in saying, "Love was not something you saw a lot of in those days, but I was lucky. I saw it there, in them."
In 1924, Fellini started primary school in an institute ran by nuns in Rimini. Little Federico had a notorious reputation for being mischievous. He would disobey any order just for the point of disobeying it. Despite the trouble he always got himself into, Fellini was able to find solace in drawing, writing short stories, and putting on shows for his peers. He hated the strict set of rules which many of the students lived by, and this defiance of contemporary standards has resonated throughout his films over the years.
Many of his films are inspired by early events from his life, but they are hardly autobiographical. As usual, Fellini said it best. "It is not memory that dominates my films. To say that my films are autobiographical is an overly facile liquidation, a hasty classification. It seems to me that I have invented nearly everything: childhood, character, nostalgias, dreams, memories, for the pleasure of being able to recount them."
In 1939, Fellini finally escaped the confines of his small-town lifestyle and traveled to Rome, where he felt he belonged. However, to appease his parents, who pushed him to be what they could not, Fellini was forced to enroll in law school at the University of Rome.
While he may have enrolled, biographer Hollis Alpert reported that there was no record of him ever having attended class. In Rome, Fellini found the atmosphere he had always sought. He was taken aback by the bustling city. He made friends, enjoyed nightlife, and seized opportunities in writing and drawing.
While in Rome, Fellini met lifetime friend Rinaldo Gella. The two drew sketches of cafe patrons and restaurants and tried to sell them on the street to make any profit they could. Even after his success, Fellini speaks very highly of those days, remarking that despite the lack of wealth, he was happy. Federico eventually found work as a reporter on the dailies of Piccolo and Popolo di Roma, but was terribly indifferent to the local court news assignments. In fact, he was bored by them. He left very shortly after.
4 months later, he earned a job writing for a highly influential bi-weekly humor magazine, Mark Aurelio. It was through this magazine that Fellini was able to create a rapport with many prominent Italian writers, comedians, and scriptwriters. These friendships gave Fellini the connections he needed to launch his film career.
And so it began. In 1950, Fellini decided to finally pursue his dreams in cinema. He co-directed, co-wrote, and co-produced the film Variety Lights. The film was meant to be a backstage comedy set among the world of small-time traveling performers. Long story short, the film was a complete disaster. It opened to lackluster box office numbers and was even more poorly reflected among critics. The production company itself went bankrupt, leaving the young director in debt for years to come.
Undeterred, Fellini refused to throw his dreams to the curb so quickly. He knew that he had something to show to the world. He did not know, however, how much the world would be watching. In 1953, Fellini got to work on his next project, a film called La Strada. Production of the film was difficult, impeded by Fellini's struggle with clinical depression and problems with the cast. This work, too, was savaged by critics, even though years later, La Strada is unanimously loved by critics and common moviegoers alike.
While La Strada is revered today, it was not at the time. This failure left Fellini grappling his own inner demons. He feared that his films were cliché and his voice was pretentious. He struggled to find his footing and completed little work over the next 5 years, outside of short films and TV segments. However, in the late 1950s, his luck changed. Fellini began working on the project that would place him in film history as one of the greats.
In 1960, La Dolce Vita astonished audiences everywhere. This comedy drama follows a journalist writing through tabloids in Rome, paralleling some aspects of Fellini's own life. Its unique mosaic structure and authenticity reeled in numerous accolades, including an Academy Award. Abandoning traditional movie tropes, Fellini embraced his unconventional way of thinking.
Highly thought-provoking, La Dolce Vita, literally translating to The Sweet Life, is a scathing caricature of society. It parodies the artificial and purely aesthetic way of living of many Italian socialites. The techniques of filmmaking marked a new caliber of storytelling. The camera moves and fixes the image in such a way as to create a sort of diaphragm around each and every object, making that object's relationship to the world appear fantastic and irrational. To this day, it remains one of the most critically acclaimed films of all time. See for yourself, La Dolce Vita was just the threshold of Fellini's journey to greatness. Federico Fellini was no one-hit wonder. La Dolce Vita just opened the floodgates for the creative masterpieces to come. Yes, Federico Fellini continued to create films that not only entertained, but evoked meaningful thought. His most well-known film, 8½, best exemplifies these cinema techniques which Federico Fellini most famously explored. 8½, is a semi-autobiographical work from Federico Fellini. It tells the story of a fictional film director, Guido Anselmi, who is suffering from director's block. Guido struggles with inferiority complexes and self-doubt as he tries to bring his ideas to the silver screen. The film sporadically shifts from Guido's dreams to reality as he tries to piece together his thoughts into a cohesive film. Thematically, the film is about the struggles that all artists face when expected to deliver something personal and profound under public scrutiny. Sound familiar? It should. 8½, masterfully combines Fellini's real-life experiences with fiction. The film finds its genius in keeping the audience in the dark. To do so, Fellini employs a disjointed narrative to tell his story, all the while staying true to the innovative cinematography he's best known for. 8½, is a film about the pursuit of happiness. More importantly, it's a film about finding meaning in a void and artificial world. It's a film that blew audiences away with its surrealism and social commentary. Today, 50 years later, it remains a testament to the art of cinema and a gold standard as to what can be accomplished through film. Federico Fellini has explored cinema through his signature surrealism in both storytelling and cinematography. While he died in 1993, his voice is still heard today through the countless artists he has inspired to follow in his footsteps.